find yourself a booth, order up a cold one. This is the Spring Bar.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Spring Bar. Glad to have you here. I am Florida Mike. Today, my co-host Joe on the OC.
Ahoy.
Joe, hey, do we need to change our names? Do we need to get rid of the names? Do we just need to go with Mike and Joe?
I don't know. You're still Florida Mike. Not to
Well,
be confused. You got to be confused with all the other Mikes that are out there.
We can't have that. But you, Joe, and the OC could be in my OC because I'm also in the OC. Just
Yeah,
in
but
different
nobody calls
OCs.
that the OC, and it was such a confusing thing because remember when OC Choppers was on,
Yeah,
right? And
everybody
I'm like,
thought they were
they're
in
not
California.
local.
Yeah,
And then like, oh, they must be in Florida. It's like they're not in Florida.
they're not in Florida, Orange County, New York.
It's up in near Syracuse, home of the Orangemen.
So by calling yourself Joe and the OC, you're really an international man of mystery because you can
I
be
am.
in any of the OCs.
I am a global brand.
Joe, international man of misery.
That's about right.
Yeah. What's going on, Joe?
I'm off. Summer.
Oh, that's
Summer
right.
vacation
You
has
are
officially
done with-
occurred.
Done with work now.
As of Friday, I do not have to go in and do a first period. No more bells rule my life.
Yeah. Look at that. Which means the annual, what is it, a pork roast?
Oh, yeah, I've got that happening already.
That's, yeah,
All sorts of barbecuing's happening here, coming up quick.
I know. I'm going to miss that.
You are.
I know.
I got a tri-tip that I'm gonna treat as a brisket, called a Trisket.
Ooh,
I got
brisket.
chicken that I got to do. I got some sausage that I got to do, and I haven't got the brisket yet. I got to figure out when I'm going to do that. But the brisket will be a. I'm so happy.
I know. I wanted to come out there again this summer.
Oh yeah,
you came here last summer.
I did.
So I wanted to come this summer, but now I just got back from Chicago and we're doing another family reunion at the end of July, and my sister's in Ohio. So it's my summer is kind of taken
So
up.
your
with
family is eating up your barbecue time, is what you're saying?
It's eating up my Joe time.
Yeah.
I think you need to put a call in and
All
set
right.
some
Well,
rules down.
I mean, I talked with your mom when we did the last episode. I'll be happy to talk to her again. She likes me.
Okay. So when I was there, when I was home, my mom was talking about, bull over this, bull over that. And she kept telling me she found this watch on the website that she just absolutely loved and she had to have it. So she finally showed me. And it was a new Caravel that just came out. Fluted bezel, kind of basic design, but in a light blue Tiffany style color.
Oh, really?
She fell in love with it. So, okay, fine. I'll buy it for her. So I had talked with Michael about it. And, tell him the story, buying Caravel for my mom and all that. He says, oh, you got to have your mom on the show. She's got to do a review on her new watch.
Oh, that's gold.
I don't know. I said, I don't know if you want the world to have that. He says, no. He says, the next time I'm on, your mom has to call in. She's got to review her watch on the show.
Oh, my God. That's fantastic.
So I guess that's happening.
I'm in. That's oh, dude, I love that.
Michael requested.
Perfect.
That my mother
Holy
come on
crap.
and review her new Caravel.
That's a nice watch. I like that.
Oh, are you looking at it?
Yeah.
It's in the new release section. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes up right off of the website. That's actually really nice.
It's not a bad little design. I'll give it that.
What is it? What's the size?
There's two, 41 and 32, 34, something like that. But she wanted a larger size.
Really? I may need one of those.
Aging eyes. What does it retail for? Like $125, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's killer.
So I'm having it shipped to me because she doesn't want the bracelet. She wants me to put it on a white leather strap. So when it gets here, I'll order a strap, put it all together, and then I'll send it out to her. But I'll take some good pictures and I'll show you what it looks like. And if you like it, then yeah, you can get one too.
Seriously, I may need one of those. That looks great, actually. Huh. All right. Yeah,
You can have matching watches with my mom.
I may need to get a matching watch with your mom.
Might have to.
Wow. Okay.
So that's, ladies and gentlemen of the listening audience, that is coming up in a near future episode.
Soon to a podcast near you.
Watches with Mom. Oh, well.
What do you got this new? Do you have anything new?
But before we do that, what are you drinking? I see you're drinking stuff. You got stuff on the wrist. What's going on here?
Bloody Mary.
You got a Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary. And you're jealous.
I am jealous. It's been a long time since I've had a Bloody Mary. But I'm going to throw it up on screen here. Tell the ladies and gentlemen what you're wearing today. There it is.
That's the Bova Devil Diver.
So it's not ostensibly one that's sold on Norwegian cruise lines. Don't confuse the people.
That's the story.
Oh, okay.
That's the story. Right,
Okay.
because it wasn't really available off of the website. The one that you could buy off of the website was the orange and blue. So the 15-minute track on the bezel was orange, not yellow.
Mhm.
And so apparently this was one that you could get through Norwegian Cruise Lines.
Really?
Uh-huh. That's the story.
Okay.
You don't have to like the story.
It's not that I dislike the story. I don't know that I believe the story.
Look. If you're confronted with the truth and the legend, print the legend. So
Okay.
there's that, and it's on a Straps Taylor Ukraine strap.
Best, yeah. Which it matches perfectly. with
It's a
that
really
watch.
good, it's a really good match. It's a really good color.
Yeah,
So
that's not too bad.
yeah, that one's fun.
Yeah. Well, on to myself. I have got I'm drinking some more. What is this? The
don't know.
Wild Turkey Long Branch. It's the 86 proof.
Ooh.
This is I had a little sip before we started, and this is
Yeah.
actually pretty good. I like this one.
Yeah. Wild Turkey is one of those weird ones that most people consider it a bottom shelf brand, but some of there's like Wild Turkey Rare Breed, Wild Turkey 101, and then there's that, and there's some other limited bottlings. And it's like when you're dealing with bourbon brands that you have heard of and that have been around for a long time and that have not had any problems in production. Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, Evan Williams, Wild Turkey, Old Grandad. It's like there's something to those bottlings. There's something to those blends. Whatever it is that they do, it appeals to a wide palette. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
And I like this one. This is pretty. I think of the 4 sample bottles that I have, this so far is my favorite one.
All right,
I like the flavor in this one. Yeah,
there you go.
it's good. And again, I'll throw it up on the screen here. What I'm wearing is my surfboard, and I don't know why I haven't put it on this white rubber strap before. This is a fantastic look and perfect for the summer.
It's a weird one though, because like the dial on that is not actually white. The dial on that's kind of a cream. You know,
It's well, yeah, it's
subtle.
cream, but when you put the white strap on it, it really lightens it up.
Yeah, it brightens the whole thing. And then
Yeah.
you and I have the same watch with the orange count up
Mhm.
rather than the red.
Yeah. So I don't know if this particular white strap, but a white strap. I think I'm going to do an Archer strap, like the one that I sent you.
Yeah,
Just kind of
that
that
silicon.
plain. Yeah, I like that. I think that plain white like that will look pretty good on here.
Huh. Interesting.
So, or maybe a white Tropic.
Oh, yeah.
Think a white Tropic would be good.
Tropic's not I like Tropic.
A nice FKM Tropic.
FKM Tropic.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
that might be a little better. We'll see. Stay tuned.
They got a
We'll
good
never know.
taper on the ones.
Yeah. Okay, so
Now can I ask my question?
ask away.
What new?
I've got a lot of stuff.
I was trying to remember, and I only think I got 2. So what do you got?
Well, first and foremost, we kind of touched on it last episode, only because I kind of forgot that I even had it. I bought, and it's probably no secret at this point, the new Marine Star Heritage Edition. Yeah, I forgot to kind of talk about this last episode, even though this was really the
We were
muse
talking about
behind.
reissues, and we were talking about
Yeah,
reissues specifically for that watch.
yeah. But the first time that it's been really showcased here on the show. But it's really good. I like it. I like it again, and I have to put this little disclaimer in there. I like it as a vintage inspired Marine Star chronograph rather than a faithful re-edition of it, because it's not a faithful re-edition. We've been through that. But as a vintage inspired one, keeping the history alive in this watch, it does a good job. And it wears really well. 43 millimeters, it wears a lot smaller than that. I really do like it on the wrist. Very comfortable. Love that bracelet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's a
it's
new
not a
thing.
bad. It's really not a bad watch. But like again, if you're looking for the reissue, it leaves a little bit to be desired. If you're looking for a good watch, it's better.
Yeah, yeah. It's all in how you look at it, I guess. Moving on, new thing number 2. This is actually new. Let me zoom in on it here. This is the last minute auction caravel. I don't know if you remember me talking about this one before.
Yeah.
This
No, I like that one too.
This is one that I think you and Oliver, one of you guys,
I
sent the
found it.
listing.
I found it and dropped it into our chat.
Okay,
And
so
like,
you
oh
put it in
yeah,
the chat. And I like it. I like the handset is what really drew me to the watch. The dial is really cool. Um, I don't know, it was going for cheap. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll watch it. And I completely forgot about it. And I went to bed one night and when I laid down, I turned my phone on to check it and it says, oh, the listing ends in 15 minutes. Oh, crap, that's right. So I open up eBay, and as I'm opening the listing on eBay, it's counting down from 15, 14, 13,
Really?
12. Yes. I literally caught the last 15 seconds of the auction. I threw in a lowball bid and ended up winning it.
it's good.
So, but it's a cool little watch. I replaced the crystal on it. That's really all I had to do. I didn't really have to clean it up at all. Put a
Came
different
on a
bracelet
different
on
bracelet, right?
it. It came on a different bracelet, yeah, but that was a stretch bracelet, and it didn't quite fit me. It was real snug. So I put this on here until I can find something comparable to what was on there, just in maybe an adjustable clasp or something like that. But it's cool. It's a fun little caravel. I like it. Nice, cheap little watch.
Yeah.
And then finally, new watch number 3. Thanks to if
Happy
you can't
birthday,
tell
by
by
the
the sinister
way.
laugh who was behind this watch.
I
So
need,
it was
I'll be right back. I got to get more to drink. Talk amongst yourselves.
it was my birthday recently, and I'm sitting at home, and I get a notification on my phone says you have a package that was delivered, and within minutes of getting that notification, I get a text from Joe says, "Hey, you might want to check your mailbox." Uh-oh. So you're responsible for whatever's been delivered. To which his reply was, "Well, I only take 50% of the credit. It only leaves one other person, and it's Oliver." The last time Joe and Oliver got together and sent me a watch did not end well. Was that weird, ugly Pagani design, Royal Oak copy, not really a Royal Oak chronograph, that kind of thing. So went down, picked up the package, opened it all up. Lo and behold, what's inside? A rose gold day date.
Right, rose gold.
Yeah. Rose gold day date, emerald dial, fluted bezel, 36 millimeter, automatic. I'll give it that.
Nothing but the best.
Another Pagani design watch. Although I tell you what, really, when you look at it, the specs on this thing aren't bad. Sapphire crystal, screw down crown, 36
You know what's really
millimeters.
funny too? Because we ordered it, and Oliver's like, we should get, which one should we get? Because there are options.
Yeah, I
And
can imagine.
I'm like, oh, well, we got to get that one because that's, because it's classier. And so he sent me the link. I'm like, hey, I'll get it because I got some gift cards and like you can pay and blah blah blah. And so then We order it and it's on its way. And I set it to be delivered on Monday because it could have come on Saturday, but I set it on Monday. And I was like, hey, what size did we get? I'm like, fuck, I don't know. Whatever you sent me, I guess. So there you go.
Well, it's the proper size.
Yeah, it's a 36 because
the
you
proper
got two
look.
options. You got a 36 or a 41.
Okay, 36 wears really nice.
Uh-huh.
It's a good color tone.
Uh-huh.
I really like the dial on it.
Yeah, it's
a nice
that because
sunburst.
if you're looking at the classy Rolex
Mhm.
Roman dial, pink gold, rose gold. I mean, come on, that ticks most of the boxes.
I will not admit to liking a Pagani design. However, I will wear this watch.
Yes,
And
yes, you will.
I just have to hope and pray nobody looks at it and is like, "Oh, what do you got?" Oh, okay, and then thinks I'm an orological idiot.
At which point you say, no, it's a joke watch from people that don't like me.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I'm telling you, when you wear that out on the veranda to go have your gator nuggets, you'll probably fit right in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's the Gator Nugget eating watch right there.
Right?
So that was a birthday present for my buddies.
Yes.
And
Yes, because you are well regarded and loved.
oh, and if this is a symbol of that, it really has come through. Your appreciation for me really shows.
Knows no bounds.
Yes,
No
exactly.
bounds.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the episode.
Wait a second.
What? Oh, you got new stuff.
I got
too.
new
Yeah,
stuff.
see? Yeah, I forgot.
I got
about you
two,
already.
actually. I forgot about one.
Two?
Yeah.
Oh, I see the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
Which one are we going
Don't
to
care.
start with?
That is
All right.
fantastic. That
Is
is,
it
it's a
now?
ladies' caravel. It's a
Uh-huh.
mechanical, it's hand wind.
Really?
The dial, yeah, right. Exactly. It's hand wind. The dial's got some faceting to it. I thought it was the crystal. It's got the fluted bezel. It's got a really great bracelet. And that was the same kind of purchase as your caravel. Like I saw that it was listed for $10. I'm like, great. Bid. Because like, yeah, I get it or I don't get it. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And amazingly, no one else bid on it. I think they had no idea what it was. That is a killer watch. And it also matches my Super Seville,
Oh, yeah.
right?
It
So
would,
now
doesn't
it's
it?
not
Yeah,
exactly his
integrated.
and hers, but it's really close. And my wife likes it, so she'll wear
It's
it.
pretty close.
It's pretty close.
So it winds and runs and keeps time and all
Yeah,
that?
keeps great time.
Huh.
Yeah,
So would you look at that?
right. Fantastic bracelet. Like everything about that watch is just a 10.
That's pretty cool. I'll give
It's
you that.
pretty cool.
There's a lot of design in that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I kind of dig it. Has she worn it yet?
No. We haven't gone anywhere. So we gotta find ourselves a date night and
But you got to get on it.
take that bad boy out.
Yeah.
Right.
And wear your
Where am I? Exactly.
Super Seville to go with
Exactly. We could be matchy.
it. Look at that.
Yeah.
Aw, how cute. All right. Number 2 for Joe. New watch number
This-
2 is also
all right.
a Caravel. Look at that.
Caravel. This is the Caravel. It's called the Classic, and you can't see. There's a crown at 2 that lights the watch up. Apparently,
Oh,
it
yeah,
has
kinda,
3 batteries.
kind of right here.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yep.
Right at 2 o'clock. 3 batteries. One runs the quartz movement, and the other 2 work the backlight. And this is similar. So Caravel, right? Caravel did, and I've got it here with me. They did one in a white dial with like a stainless case that they were calling the Railroad. And like we talked about it, the fact that like we all like that. We like that watch a lot. And I was talking to Oliver at some point. I'm like, yeah, I mean they got the blue dial one I think is really nice. And that stuck. And he found it and bought it. I don't know how much he paid for it. There's no box and papers, but he gave it to me yesterday. The thing though, so drop the image there and bring it up the screen because I want to show you the strap. right? And it's a pretty. This is one of the most
That's
amazing straps I
that's
think I have seen come from Bulova ever.
pretty thick, isn't it?
It's incredibly thick. It's really well done.
And
It's
that's the
got
factory one. Was that stamped
little
Caravel on
contrasting
it?
stitching right there up at the lugs.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I'm like this watch, my God, and it looks like it's a high gloss PVD coat on it. That's a great watch. And I want to say like they retail. You can get it off of the website for $93.
That exact one.
That exact watch.
Wow.
Like that's a really really solid package.
Well,
For
so that it kind of segues me a little bit, right? Because next month, if you remember, going back to the last Michael episode, he hinted at some new Caravel stuff coming, and there's a lot of Caravel stuff out right now. Some new things that have popped up, but if you haven't gone and looked at them, if you want just a inexpensive little watch for a gift for somebody or something for yourself or whatever, they've got some cool stuff for cheap. They have to operate at a certain price point and below because they can't really compete with the Bulova stuff. So you can get some decent things for really inexpensive mechanical watches too, automatics, all Miyota powered stuff. You can't go wrong.
it's not bad. It's not bad.
Not
I really
bad.
like that one that your mom's gonna get. I think I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah,
I'm in.
yeah, can't beat it.
Because you know what? To be honest, that one there was a Casio that was real similar that
Hmm.
they don't make anymore, and I liked that one for a while. And I was considering pulling the trigger on it, but
That was
I
kind of like the watch of last summer for them, wasn't it?
yeah, it was and it
Yeah.
was like that Tiffany blue. But I think I
Hmm.
like this one better. So, all right, are we ready? You ready to get into it?
Now, can we get into my meat and potatoes?
Yeah.
Okay. So we had this discussion. This topic also spawns from our group chat because we were talking about the sizes of our collections, and there's a lot of times where, especially Oliver will say, "Well, you never wear this, and you never wear that, and how come you don't have this anymore?" And oh, you got tired of that watch already. And it's like, well, no, I didn't really. It's just I don't take pictures of everything every single time I wear it. But my response was, I have so many watches to wear that you just don't see me taking photos of everything all the time. And it kind of brought up the question of how many is too many?
Well, I think that you're touching on a few different questions, and they all
Yeah.
come really rapidly and in conjunction. So, if we're talking about a collection, the first thing you got to start asking yourself is really what constitutes a collection, right? And so, collection will be like definition wise is more than one. But are you a collector or do you have a collection? So, case in point, you
Well,
have two
yeah.
Pagani design watches. Are you a Pagani design collector?
I am not a Pagani design collector, but I have Pagani designs in my collection.
Right. Okay. And so this is it's a nuanced point because you can end up with a collection that really has no bearing upon what you collect. You just happen to have a whole lot of them. They may be given to you. So I was thinking about my son. My son has a watch collection. I have given him a number of watches. He is not a watch collector. You
I
you
have
have given him
I,
as well.
I
Yes,
have
thank you,
donated
asshole.
probably the
Yeah.
greatest watch of all.
No, no. And I'm not saying that to disparage your watch. Your watch is very fine. I'm not saying that, and the sentiment and the history behind it is also impressive. However, in terms of a important watch, his great grandfather's watch
Well,
trumps
yes,
yours.
I know.
Like
Being facetious.
if there was a house fire, your watch is gone. Just saying.
So that's not a run back and save that kind of watch, is it?
No, no. I'm picking up my wife before we get that watch.
To to go back to your first question, what constitutes a collection? And you said anything more than one. I see it as a small collection to me starts at five.
Really? You do you think that that's a
That's, I think, the threshold for a collection in my eyes. And now I get there's the whole three watch collection thing, a diver, a driver, and a flyer.
right?
Eh,
Well, or you could do dress, sport, and you know gotta grab and go.
yeah, I guess you can do that. You can bend the rules to a three watch collection. I don't know. For me, it starts at five. I think you're at that point starting to amass things, right? Three watches might be carefully thought of and curated for a specific purpose. But when you start going beyond that and you get to five and above, you're buying things to accumulate at that point. And that's, I think, what starts the collecting phase.
It could be like my definition is that a collection is something that is done with intent, right? I'm purchasing these things for a reason. I'm purchasing them because I enjoy them. I'm purchasing them because I like them. I'm purchasing them because I want to have more of them, right? Like I don't know that you would call. I think you could call somebody a car collector if they've got three cars that they have curated and that they may move through, right? And it wouldn't be three cars for the family. It would be three cars for the individual. I think that's like if we're talking about that, I think shoes, the threshold's probably a little bit higher than five, but I don't know. I think it's different for every type of collecting, but
There's no right or wrong answer to it.
yeah,
There's only opinion. But you eventually evolve into a point where, and again, this number is all subjective too. How many is too many?
Well,
And
that's
there's
a different question. And I think that's a much different question because that comes down to what kind of collector are you? Right? You and I, we collect ABC watches, Accutron, Bulova, Caravel, to a great extent. I think that your collection is probably more varied than mine. I think my collection may be larger than yours, and mine is definitely more specified than yours is, but within kind of the same parameters. You got people that collect one brand. It's like, okay, I'm only going to collect AP. I'm only going to collect, Vacheron. I'm only going to collect Richard Mille. And that changes the collection slightly just because of the price of entry.
So before we get too far into it, I've got a question because, and you've said this many a times, that you believe your collection is larger than mine. So are you talking just the ABC collection or our collections as a whole? Because there's a lot of stuff that I have that is packed away, doesn't get shown, really doesn't get worn, but it's things that I've bought throughout the years before I really turned into a collector, and I have them. They're in boxes. So there's a large percentage of my collection that nobody really knows exists because I just don't show it. I don't wear it. So
All
when
right.
you say your collection is larger than mine, do you want to compare apples to apples one day?
Yeah,
'Cause
we
I
should. We should
I
because
feel like
here,
I can give you a run for your money. I
I'm
think you
sure
have
I'm
less
sure
than
you
I
can,
actually
but
do.
it comes down to this, right? My collection's public,
Hmm.
with very rare exception. I think there might it might only be maybe three watches that I don't know that I've got a picture of that I've never posted a photo of, and
See,
they're
I've probably got an entire watch box full of watches that
I'm
I've never
sure you
posted.
do because you're making these claims and I've seen your collection, so it's like okay. Um, the three or four that I don't have images up of, they don't run or they're something that my mom sent me to go as a stocking stuffer that she found at a, there's some random stuff that gets into that because people know that I like watches. And so some of this is like, okay, this would not be part of my collection, and I haven't moved it on because
But it's a watch
it is.
in your collection of your,
Yeah, it is. It
all
is.
the
And
watches
but
that you have
again,
amassed. That's just part of it.
we're only talking like a limited number because for the most part, I take pictures of everything and post them. So if you want to see my collection, scroll back. It's all there in some fashion or another. So if I think there may be a difference between somebody who is a collector versus someone who is a hoarder.
Where do we fall?
You, sir, are a hoarder.
Am I?
Yes, since you have watches that I don't know about. You have
Okay, so
watches packed away.
we're talking about how big our collections are. People probably want to know. What's your body count, Joe? How many do you got? And your
Oh
best estimate in your head, how many
no
do
no
you
no no!
believe you
It's
have?
not. It's not a best estimate. It's 113.
That's
113
an exact.
documented.
Okay.
And I got that, and I have that on the spreadsheet that I've shared with you, and that also has the ones that I've gotten rid of. So it's actually more than that on the spreadsheet, but the ones that are currently in my possession.
Okay. I I have 85 on display. No, I probably have more than that. I got 89 because I got that one that's got four, and then there's one sitting on the counter in my bathroom. So I've got 90 that are out in the open. I would venture to say that I'm at 125 if you count the stuff that's packed away and in boxes and that. At least, I would say. That's where I'm at. I feel comfortable with that number.
But you don't know.
I don't know if I'll count. I'll count.
See, this is the whole point, right?
By the time this episode goes out, I will have an exact number and I will flash it on the screen.
Okay, because
right there.
that makes you a hoarder. You don't know what you've got.
I mean, I know what I've got.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
I know exactly what I've got. I have a list. I can tell you when I got it. I can tell you what it is. I can tell you how much I paid for it. I got the whole bit.
So here's another question. Okay, when it comes to how many is too many, is it too many when you have a set number of watches that you wear on a regular basis and then everything else is just there on display for you to look at?
Well, except you've got stuff that's not even on display for you to look at.
But as a whole, what is on display is the majority of the collection.
Okay.
I have things that I just don't wear, but I do appreciate when I open up the box to pick out what I'm going to wear for the day. It is there. I can see it. It's visually pleasing, and that's how I enjoy that watch.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se. The question sort of, it begs the point then, what is the purpose of that watch in your collection? And this becomes the question about collecting and the collecting mentality. And I think that's probably what we should have the conversation about next, because there are important watches. There are watches that are valuable. There are watches that are heirloom pieces. There are watches that are delicate, right? And there's a variety of different things that you can throw into as a watch. And whether or not you wear that, particularly in this day and age, if you're talking about high-end collectors, it's like, okay, great. Where am I going to wear my rose gold Tiffany signed Patek Philippe 5711? Where will I wear that? Where will I wear my turquoise dial Tiffany blue 5711 that I paid $3 million for at auction? And in that situation, like, where would you wear that? You wouldn't wear it to dinner. You wouldn't wear it to something else, because you're going to be going to a place that's high profile, and you're probably going to get robbed for that watch, because
I don't know about that.
You see it happening often enough, and that people are now going out with watches like your Pagani design, right? To kind of get themselves out of that situation. So if you have watches like that, I mean, those are investment piece watches. Let's not beat around the bush. That,
Hmm.
like, you and I do not have investment grade watches. We have watches that may be valuable, but they're not watches that we sank a lot of money into with the intent of keeping or flipping when they appreciate.
Well, we can discuss, the purposes of our collections. Yours is very easy.
Yeah,
Yours is Devil Diver watches.
yeah,
You're getting one of everything,
yeah,
and that's what your collection is.
yeah,
Mine is a little different.
yeah.
Mine is kind of a, a greatest hits of the 70s, would you say? I mean, is that a fair
You know what?
description?
It could be, except you've also got some weird other stuff. So, it seems that, and again, it always comes down to, okay, you collect what you like, you collect what you're interested in, and then also, like, how do things evolve, right? Because when I started getting watches, I had a hodgepodge. I had a bunch, and it was, I think, after my grandmother died, and that I got my great grandfather's Bulova, and I had a Bulova that I had bought, and then my wife had gotten me one for Father's Day. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I collect Bulova now, and so that focused things for me. And then okay, I'm going to collect Bulova watches. So I started looking at that, started getting into that, and then at some point, it's like, I'm going to collect Devil Divers. And so I got rid of all of or most of the non Devil Divers that I had, and so that was how I focused and refined my collection. I don't think that you have gone through that kind of revelation yet.
Well, my niche is very small compared to yours, right? Mine is 10 watches in a collection, and I have all 10, and now I buy them to restore them. But at the same time, I've been collecting a lot of the weirder things. Again, the greatest hits of the 70s, right? And there are watches that I'll buy, like the first Caravel display case back, right?
Yeah.
Because it's an important watch. It's the first display case back for the brand. It
Well, okay,
shows the
except let's, and this is where it becomes an interesting point, right? It's an important watch for Caravel collectors, of which there's what, 8 of us?
no, not necessarily for Caravel collectors, because if you look at the company as a whole and what they've done throughout the years, that was the first display case back they came up with. And
I
who's to
don't I
say
understand. I have one. You don't have to sell me on it.
no,
It
but
still
I'm
comes
I'm
down.
just
It still comes down to the facts. Okay, and we're talking about the importance of that watch. Okay, for the Bulova company, it's the first display case back of a 17 jeweled, unadorned Japanese movement.
but
In horological history, and in any kind of parlance, it does not matter
but
at
it
all.
does matter.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't matter. As
It
a watch,
does.
it I disagree with you. It is not an important watch by any sense of specifications, other than the fact that it's the first display case back that the Bulova company did. And they did it on their drugstore brand. They didn't do it on Accutron. They have the Space View,
Yes, but
right?
as we've discussed before, Caravel was the Skunk Works for Bulova. They're the
It
brand that
could,
they tried the things
regardless
out
of where
on.
you want to put it. Like, when did you see a display case back on a Bulova? It was not shortly after.
No, it wasn't
Significantly
shortly
later.
after, but the Caravel was the first one that they did, and that paved the way for future display case backs. It doesn't matter how long after it took for them to do one. The fact of the matter is that is the first one people appreciated being able to see the inner workings of a mechanical movement and they understood the importance of people like that sort of thing. They want to be involved a little bit more
I
in the
don't.
mechanical
I
aspects.
think that you are reading into that way too much because I
Absolutely
think it
not.
took them. I think it took them at least another 10 years before there was another display case back.
Well, it doesn't matter how long it was. The fact of the
It
matter was,
totally
is that's the
matters.
one that
It
paved the way.
totally matters. If we're looking at it from a corporate philosophy, if we're looking at it from any kind of standpoint of a marketing strategy, 10 years, good God, man. You've gone through three different marketing managers in that point in time.
History, Joe, knows no bounds.
History knows exactly bounds. History in fashion is bound by the season, and what happened 3 years ago is forgotten.
It's an important watch in the brand's history.
If you say so. I question that, and the reason that I question that is that we have shared that with the corporate entity, and they had no knowledge of it. Therefore, its importance to the brand is minimal.
That is not true. Carl knew exactly what it was.
And Richard did not.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Richard will throw in the comments.
I guarantee Richard will not throw it in the comments.
We'll tag him in this. We're
But
calling you out, Richard.
I have watches like that are, important in history in the brand or something, or important to me or whatever. And like the Miss America. Like, I feel like that is an important watch to the brand history, and I wanted to have one, so I collected one. I don't wear it. It's far too small for me to wear, but I have it there as a historically important watch. And, you know, as are other pieces in the collection that I have. And I don't wear them, but they mean something, and they tell a story of the collection. And it just, I don't know. It
Well,
grows, gets
it
carried
goes kind of
away,
like
and
this. Like if you are collecting a brand and you are a collector and an appreciator of a brand, then you're looking at, okay, what are the greatest hits? And you want to have something along those lines. So, it depends on where you are in the brand, right? If you collect AP and you don't have a 5711 and you don't have a perpetual calendar, do you collect AP? I don't know. If you collect Casio and you don't have a G-Shock.
I don't think your collection is determined based upon which models you have and don't have.
Well, that's if you are a collector of the brand, it certainly should be. It certainly could be, because you're looking at, like, if you are an appreciator of a brand, you are looking at what are the things that cause people to appreciate that brand. What are the pieces? What are their greatest hits? It doesn't seem that far off to me.
Well, okay, so I don't have 1967 black and silver dialed pre-snorkel. Does that make me not an appreciator of the brand because I don't
I don't
have
know.
what
Do you have a
feel
snorkel?
I do have a snorkel.
Well, then. And is that, if you're looking at a brand like Bulova, what are their greatest hits? Well, that's up for some debate. If you really want to go into it, if we really want to go into it, you're looking at what
debate.
Yeah, it is totally up for debate, because you're looking at what are the reissues, because that's the greatest hits. So, okay, perfect. This is a great segue. Are you ready?
Okay.
Here's the segue.
Go ahead.
This is a conversation that I had with Oliver yesterday when he dropped, he gave me the Caravelle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he brought me this. The Bulova mill shifts.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that watch fit?
I think it's a significantly important watch. I would not call that a greatest hit, though.
Okay. And it's a significantly important watch, but if we're talking about a watch in terms of a lineage, it's a horological dead end. It didn't even get out of the development stage.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, right? And it didn't go anywhere.
If you want to talk about that, it didn't get out of the development stage because the money and the efforts of the brand were diverted to Accutron at the time.
Doesn't matter.
And that was, and no, it does, because
No.
that became the brand's greatest hit. If you're thinking about
Okay.
it, really.
Okay. I'll grant you that.
Okay.
But like the watch doesn't have any kind of real legacy in terms of what it did. If you want to talk about military provenance, okay, great. You got the A11 and the A17. Both of those watches way more involved than the mill ships.
And I
If
think an A11 could go down as one of the greatest hits.
well, I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. But because the A11 gave room to move through the A15, the A17, and it added to the military provenance of the brand. When you look at Accutron and you've got the development from the prototype 214, 218, 219, 224, 222, da, 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 and you have that lineage, you have that line that as it moves through, right? The mill ships, one and done and set. There's not a part of a line. It's not part of almost anything else. Just up until very, very recently when they decided to resuscitate the line, and now you've got 4 versions of it.
Can you make the argument that a well curated collection of greatest hits watches should hit the same with the majority of your audience? Because if it doesn't, is that really the brand's greatest hits,
Here
or
you
is
go.
that just
Well,
what applies to you?
no, because now you have a different set of definitions. You ready? You're not ready.
Okay,
You're gonna love this. This is
hold
fantastic.
on. Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
take a drink. Take a drink. You need this.
That's a whole nother pour.
Okay. There
Okay.
is a difference between the best of versus the greatest hits.
Okay.
Okay. If we're talking about a compilation album, right? Compilation album of whatever your favorite artist may be. A fan of the artist will be looking for a best of. A casual fan or someone who might want to get into the artist would be looking for a greatest hits.
I don't know if I'll go with that.
You don't have to go with that. This is how the industry works. So the greatest hits are the songs that have done the best. They are the most popular songs based upon whatever metric you want to work. The greatest hits, right? Always your number ones, number twos, people that million sellers. Best of might not be. Best of might be the B-sides. Best of might be the ones that were more popular in live performance. Best of might be the encore. Best of might be the songs that people think encapsulate the band better than almost anything else. And it becomes a much different animal as soon as you get into that side of things. And so a true fan of the brand might be looking at, okay, what is the best of, versus a casual person is like, okay, I want to collect Bulova. I need to get these 5 watches and then I'm done.
I don't know if I agree with that definition entirely, but I'm gonna just let you have that one, because I that'll be an argument we go round and round with.
Oh, bring it, motherfucker.
What about honeymoon phases? We always hear everybody talk about the honeymoon phase. You buy a watch, it's the best thing in the world, and you wear it all the time. You're taking pictures of it, you talk about it, you're telling all your friends about it. Oh, you got to have one of these. And at a certain point in time, it goes back into the box,
And it never
and
comes out again.
not that it never comes out again, but it gets passed over to wear something else.
If you are an avid collector, if you have a deep rotation, if you are also trying to, it depends on how you're curating, right? If you're curating your collection with an eye for specific pieces versus curating a collection because you just want the next dopamine hit from your latest and greatest. And I think that's something else that we can talk about when it comes to watch collectors. Like, it's not so much the collecting, it's the thrill of the hunt.
And that's a very good point. Like, if you're collecting for the thrill of the hunt, at that point, when you're chasing that thrill, when you're chasing that feeling, do you have too many watches then? because they
Probably.
don't mean anything to you. You're after it for the thrill.
Probably do. Like, what is the intent of your collection, right? And this is something that's different for you and I, because you went into the Jetstar thing, got to get them all, but it's defined. You knew there are this many. Now it's just a question. Okay, how much of a better version of that can I get? What are the variants? What can I do with that? Right. I'm looking at 666 dialed watches, and we're not even sure how many of them there are and what they are. So, like, my journey is probably going to be a lot longer than yours, because you're done and I'm nowhere close. All right.
Let's end it with one of your last points here,
Yeah.
which is, when do you I'm out. What's the end game? When do you get rid of everything?
I think that you've got there's a couple of benchmarks for that. I mean, the first one being, if you have set yourself a goal and you have met the goal, then what is the point from that point on? If I get every 666 that I want, that I find, and there's no need for me to get another one, there's not a better version of, or there is not a higher quality or whatever, at that point in time, what am I collecting those for? Why am I collecting them anymore? And at that point in time, like, once I have pinnacled my collection, then it's probably time for me to donate it. It's like, okay, here, this is my life's work. I have spent my lifetime collecting these watches. I have amassed all of them. Now let me donate it to a museum. Now other people can enjoy.
But does that put you in the category of a thrill of the hunt collector then?
Probably,
because there is no more thrill
because
for you?
Well, I'm collecting for a specific reason. I want X. I want all of X. And once I have all of X, I have achieved my goal. And maybe I set another goal for myself. Who knows? I don't know, because I'm not there yet. But, you know, we're talking about you're there. You got all the Jetstars. Are you willing to get rid of them? Are you thinking you get rid of them? Will you donate them to any one of the 4 Bulova museums? No.
That's a hard question.
At this point in time, the answer is no.
The answer would be no. However, if they came to me and said, "Hey, we see what you did. You've really put together excellent examples of the entire collection. We would like to have that in our museum on display."
Right.
It would be very hard to turn that down.
But the point with this, though, and I think it's an interesting one, because those particular watches you don't wear.
The core collection of 10, I don't.
Right. You don't wear them. You have them and so my 6, I wear them. I wear them on a pretty regular rotation.
And I'll buy duplicates of the ones that I really do like, and I'll wear those, right?
Right.
So it's not like I don't wear Jetstars, but I don't wear the core collection of 10.
Correct.
Those are in a double stacked box. They're in the drawer. Don't see light. There's no fading. There's anything, none of that going on. But if I got rid of them, I would feel an emptiness, because my collecting identity is those watches. And if they go away, then I feel like I've given away my identity, and there's an emptiness in me then.
Okay, but if you donate them to a museum, or you loan them to a museum, which is kind of the same thing.
Well, not really, because if I loan them to a museum, I know that I still own them. I can still claim them as saying, "Hey, my watches are on display."
Correct. Except now, let's be honest. Right now, they're sitting in your closet in a box that you don't see every day. You see the box, you don't see the watches necessarily. Correct?
Okay.
Okay. So if those watches were on display at the Bulova Museum at the Empire State Building, would there really be a difference in your enjoyment of them? Honestly.
If they were okay, so honest answer. if they were on display in the Bullerview Museum on an indefinite loan to the museum, my enjoyment would come from other people being able to see and take
So
in and enjoy those watches.
arguably, your enjoyment would be higher if they were in a museum.
If I still owned them, yes. But
If
if
they were
I,
if they were on display in a museum, they would arguably be more enjoyable to you.
if I
Michael,
still
are you
owned them,
hearing this? Right? You got this? You got this in your ear? I'm just saying.
listen, if Michael came to me and says, "Hey, we'd love to put your collection of Jetstars on display in the museum," I'm not going to turn it down. Come on.
No,
If we're being honest, I'm not turning that down.
no. Why
I'm
would
not
you?
turning it down.
Right. So, but
But
again, like if we're talking,
but for me
so
to
for
get
you
that
though,
enjoyment,
for you
though,
that's definitely that's a different part of the thrill of the hunt, because now it's about the recognition. Here are my watches. Recognize that these are mine, and that's a
well,
different
yeah, and
aspect. That's a curation rather than a
but
collection.
when you put it that way, it makes me look like an ass because it's
Well,
like
except it
acknowledge
doesn't.
the fact that I have done this, right?
But no, because when you start thinking about almost any museum in the world, right? There's usually a name attached to it. The Getty Museum, the Bowers Museum, right? The Smithsonian, Scripps, whatever, right? There's this name that's attached to it. It's because
Well,
there's some
yeah, but if
right, there's
somebody
some
has
philanthropist
donated
that
something
has
that's
done this.
historically significant to go to the Smithsonian, then becomes property of the Smithsonian Museum. It doesn't
Correct.
say, "Look at this moon rock that was donated by so and so." It
Right,
just
right.
says,
But
"Look at this moon rock."
again, it comes down to the fact that typically these museums, these giant collections, were endowed by someone who was a collector at the beginning, who said, "Okay, here, I can't enjoy this enough. Let me share it with the world." And I think that if you are curating a collection, if you have amassed a collection and you have curated a collection and you have put time, effort, and love into developing this thing, that sharing that with people at an eventuality becomes sort of the next evolution, maybe the higher part of the evolution of that collection. Because like I'm looking at my 666 collection specifically. I want to get all of them. And once I have all of them, man, it'd be really cool to show that off.
Hmm.
And it would be really cool to show it off to people that were interested in that. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it's like, okay, recognize that I did this. That's not the issue. It's like, here they all are. They're all in one place. Isn't that cool? Don't you appreciate the fact that they're all here?
And
And it doesn't matter that it was me who did it.
I think, well, okay. So let me say this: as a collector, if you're collecting if you're putting together a collection of watches for a theme and or purpose, like you and I have, okay, putting them on display, I think is the ultimate end game for that collection.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're putting it together, and once it's done, you want to present it to the world to see. And that's why I like Instagram, because we can
Yeah.
put that out there for the world to see. For people who, I mean, how many watches have we never been able to experience, but we can look at the photos of them and people enjoying them and kind of live vicariously through that, right? That's the
Right.
great thing about Instagram. But I even if Bulova said we want to put your collection on display, absolutely. I have no problem with that. I would be very grateful that they thought enough of the collection to want to put it into their museum, to put it on display for everybody that comes in there to see. I don't even need the recognition. It doesn't have to say curated by so and so. What I'm not ready to do is relinquish my ownership of the collection, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But I think that that's because you're not evolved enough yet.
Okay.
We'll get you there.
Okay.
We'll get you there.
So I mean, absolutely. If Michael is listening, or Carl, or anybody in the offices, and then they want to put my stuff on display, just let me know. I'll send it to you. No problem
There
with
you
it.
go.
I just still want to own it. That's all.
I'm so happy. I've just eliminated the most important part of your collection for the benefit of everyone else. I've done my part in the world. I'm so happy.
But I mean, come on, how cool would that be?
It's
I
pretty.
have no problem with that.
You should
I
put
would love for it
that
to
should-
be
Put it in the museum.
in the museum
Send
on
it there.
display. Yeah.
They'd love to have it.
Would they? I know they have some of their own, so I don't know.
Yeah, but do you think they got them all?
I don't know if they have them all.
They may not.
They
Yeah.
may not. We haven't been there to look through everything to figure it out.
Correct.
Which oh gosh, we keep saying it.
Right.
One day we just got to make it happen.
Correct.
Just got to make it happen.
All right.
Well, Joe, any last calls?
No. Had one, and I forgot it.
Oh, and that also reminds me, not enough people are going to watch or listen to the Carl Rosen episodes. Episode number 1 did really good. Number 2, the amount of listeners and viewers does not equal the amount of people that watched episode 1. So you guys are really missing out on the second half of that conversation. And it's really story time with Carl. You just kind of let him talk and go into things and tell his stories about, his time at the company. Oh, it was so good.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I had conversations with him pre-recording. He's like, well, I could talk for him. I'm like, yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Just go ahead. It'll be great. Yeah.
Even if you're not a history buff, or if you're not an avid Bulova person or whatever, just to hear somebody talk passionately about what they love and believe in.
It was so great. It was so great. And also because it was an informative discussion, but it was not like, oh, tell me about the brand because I don't know anything. It's like, no, tell me about the bottom drawer. Tell me about the stuff that I want. Let's get into detail.
Yeah.
Tell me about the best of. Don't tell me about the greatest hits.
Yeah.
It's almost a B-sides album. That's
a good way to put it. Yeah. All the deep cuts.
Yeah.
So if you've listened to part 1, listen to part 2 if you haven't. You don't want to miss it. And if you haven't listened to either one of them, I implore you to go back and do those two, part 1 and part 2. What was it, episode 90?
Yeah, 90,
episode
91.
90, part 1 and part 2. But the whole conversation is what, just shy of 3 hours. So we broke it up just so it's easier to digest. But oh my gosh, if you haven't done it, go back and listen to it. Because the view counts and the downloads, if you listen to the audio versions of it, just goes to show your guys' appreciation to them being on, because I do share that information with them, how much it gets enjoyed by everybody. And so that's just what keeps them wanting to come back and do these reveals and talk about the catalogs and why things are the way they are, and it's because everybody listens. So show them some appreciation. Just listen to it, watch it, whatever your usual means of us is, and yeah. So
how do we get in touch, Mike?
Well, today, Joe, you and I, we make up the Spring Bar Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Spring Bar Podcast. You can email us, thespringbarpodcast@gmail.com. Maybe it's just a long email. Nobody wants to type it out. Maybe I just need to come up with a shorter email, and then people might correspond with us.
Maybe.
But until then, on a personal level, I am 120 clicks, all spelled out, one long word, 120 clicks. Joe.
I am Watch Taylor Youth, UPH, all one word.
That's about it. That's all we got.
I'm out of booze, so.
You're out. I went through a pour and a half.
Ooh.
Took a little extra to have to
Big
deal
day
with
for
your
you.
definitions and telling me, what box I need to stay in today.
Well, yeah. Stop fucking it up.
I will go and count all my watches. But until then, cheers.
Cheers.